Whether it's seawall or pool repairs to protections from extreme heat, the City of Vancouver says it's time for big oil to cough up the money.
I think it's time to make sure that all the burden of climate change lands on local taxpayers and that big oil pays their fair share.
On Wednesday, Council voted to put money in next year's budget to fund a lawsuit against major oil companies like Shell and Chevron. The costs would mean setting aside up to $1 per resident, totaling almost $700,000 to get the fight before the courts.
I think, as we've seen with the cases against Big Pharma and the cigarette companies, that these are worth getting into, and often it's up to cities to lead the way.
Among those leading the Sue Big Oil movement is West Coast Environmental Law.
They pay a fair share, and of course that's the big question: is what is their fair share of these costs? Right now, they're not paying anything.
Oil, gas, and transportation continues to be Canada's largest sources of emissions, and Andrew Gage says these kinds of lawsuits will become more common and necessary.
We're going to see it more and more because communities, local governments are experiencing massive climate costs. Vancouver is facing $1 billion in costs to deal with rising sea levels.
He says Vancouver would be the first city in Canada to file a lawsuit against big oil for climate change, but there's mixed reactions.
I agree with that 100%. It should have been done years ago.
No, I do not think the taxpayers should pay.
If they're going to be responsible, then it should be to help the land they destroy.
The 6-5 vote in Council also razor thin.
Putting close to $700,000 towards suing big oil just to fund a lawsuit through a different organization, for me, just far outreaches our elected responsibility.
She says there's more tangible options than a class action lawsuit.
We're suing big oil and then we're lining up at the gas station to fill up our own city-owned vehicles. It doesn't make sense.
So while the debate continues, it'll be up to the next City Council after the election to decide if the bigger battle moves forward. Benit Brach, CBC News, Vancouver.